Two twin brothers bound by blood and trained in the shadows of elite military discipline must confront a ruthless racist gang unaware of the deadly skills hidden behind their calm exteriors. It was a chilly Friday evening in Rivertown, a small, predominantly white suburban enclave where strangers were easily spotted and whispers traveled faster than the wind. Emmanuel and Elijah Carter, identical twins with lean, athletic builds and strikingly sharp features, had just moved to the town after years of traveling for work. Despite their unassuming demeanor and friendly smiles, the brothers stood out, not only because of their race, but because they carried themselves with a quiet confidence that piqued curiosity and, in some cases, stirred resentment. The twins had rented a modest house at the edge of town, close to the woods that stretched endlessly into the horizon. They were settling in, keeping to themselves for the most part, except for the occasional run-ins with neighbors. Emmanuel worked as a mechanic at the local auto shop, while Elijah took on odd jobs as a handyman. The townsfolk, however, had no idea about their real backgrounds. Beneath their seemingly mundane lives lay a truth hidden even from each other. Both were highly trained military commandos, veterans of elite covert units. Years of black ops missions, grueling training, and countless battles had turned them into formidable warriors, though they'd chosen this quiet town to escape the chaos and find some semblance of peace. What they didn't know was that peace was about to become a fleeting dream. In Rivertown, there was an undercurrent of tension, one that simmered quietly beneath its idyllic surface. A local gang called the Iron Vipers had made it their mission to keep outsiders in check. Led by Darren "Dagger" Malone, a man with a face etched in scars and a heart hardened by hate, the Vipers were known for their intimidation tactics and occasional violent outbursts. They preyed on fear and thrived on the unspoken approval of a few influential locals who preferred Rivertown unspoiled. The arrival of the Carter twins was like lighting a match in a room full of gasoline. Rumors spread quickly. Two black men, identical no less, moving into their town. It was enough to set the Vipers on edge. Darren saw them as a threat to his perceived dominance and an opportunity to send a message. One night, as Emmanuel and Elijah were out grabbing supplies from a local convenience store, they felt the weight of unfriendly stares. Darren and three of his lackeys loitered near the entrance, their presence suffocating. As the twins walked out with their bags, Darren sneered, stepping into their path. "You lost, boys?" he said, his tone dripping with mockery. Elijah exchanged a glance with Emmanuel, silently urging restraint. "We're not looking for trouble," Emmanuel said evenly, his voice calm but firm. "Trouble's exactly what you're gonna find if you stick around," Darren shot back, his cronies laughing behind him. The twins walked away, their steps measured and steady, ignoring the jeers that followed. But as they left, Darren's eyes narrowed, his jaw tightening. This wasn't over. A week later, the tension escalated. It was late at night when the Carter twins heard noises outside their home. The crunch of gravel under boots, hushed voices carrying on the breeze. They moved instinctively, years of training kicking in. Emmanuel silently retrieved a knife hidden in the kitchen, while Elijah grabbed a baseball bat by the door. They exchanged a knowing look, their bond stronger than words. Suddenly, a brick came crashing through the living room window, followed by a Molotov cocktail that shattered against the porch railing. Flames licked the wood, but the twins were already in motion. Emmanuel grabbed a fire extinguisher, while Elijah slipped out the back door, disappearing into the shadows. The Vipers, 6 in total, were gathered in the front yard, their laughter echoing in the night. Darren stood at the center, a smug grin plastered across his face. "Told you this wasn't your town," he called out, expecting fear to seep through the broken window. Instead, a voice responded from the darkness. "You've made a big mistake," Elijah said, his tone cold and measured. Before Darren could react, Elijah emerged from the shadows behind the gang, moving like a ghost. With precise, calculated strikes, he took down 2 of the men before they even knew what hit them. Emmanuel burst through the front door moments later, his movements just as swift and deadly. The twins worked in perfect synchronization, their training evident in every motion. Panic set in among the Vipers as they realized they were outmatched. Darren tried to rally his men, but the twins' sheer efficiency left no room for recovery. Within minutes, the gang lay sprawled on the ground, groaning in pain. Darren, clutching his side where Emmanuel had landed a brutal punch, glared up at the twins. "Who the hell are you?" he spat. Emmanuel crouched down, his gaze piercing. "We're the wrong people to mess with." The incident with the Vipers didn't go unnoticed. Whispers spread across Rivertown, some residents secretly cheering the twins for standing up to the gang, while others clung to their prejudices. The sheriff, a weary man named Tom Weaver, visited the Carters' home the next day. He'd heard both sides of the story, and though he didn't condone the Vipers' actions, he was wary of the twins. "Look," Tom began, his hat in hand, "I just want to keep the peace. But I need to know, who are you two really?" The twins exchanged a glance before Emmanuel spoke. "We're just two guys trying to live a quiet life, but if people bring trouble to our door, we'll handle it." Tom studied them for a long moment before nodding. "Fair enough. Just keep it clean." As the sheriff left, Elijah turned to Emmanuel. "How long before they come back with reinforcements?" "Not long," Emmanuel replied. "We need to be ready." 2 nights later, the Vipers returned, this time with a larger group and armed with more than just bricks and bottles. Darren was determined to make an example of the Carters, but he underestimated their resolve and their skills. The twins had spent the intervening days preparing. They fortified their home, setting up makeshift traps and barriers. They even reached out to a few sympathetic neighbors who were fed up with the Vipers' reign of terror. By the time the gang arrived, the Carters were ready. As the Vipers advanced, the twins unleashed a barrage of tactics that left their attackers disoriented and vulnerable. Smoke bombs filled the air, hiding the twins' movements. Strategically placed tripwires sent several gang members sprawling, while the twins picked off the rest with calculated precision. The battle was fierce but short-lived. When the dust settled, Darren and his gang were left broken and defeated, their power shattered. The Carters stood tall, their message clear. Rivertown was no longer theirs to control. In the days that followed, Rivertown began to change. Inspired by the twins' bravery, more residents began to speak out against the Vipers and the toxic undercurrents that had plagued the town. The sheriff, recognizing the twins' potential to be a force for good, extended an olive branch, offering them a chance to work with the community to rebuild trust. Emmanuel and Elijah, though reluctant to step back into the spotlight, accepted. They knew their past would always be a part of them, but they also saw an opportunity to make a difference, to turn a town divided by hate into one united by resilience. For the first time in years, the Carter twins felt a sense of peace, and this time, they knew it was one they'd earned.